but nonetheless, it seems like the CPIM and their strategy somehow seem to have worked with the people of Kerala. Let me quickly shift focus. Thank you, Gopi, for joining us. I'm going to shift focus to Karnataka and the COVID crisis here. We do know Karnataka numbers, as per reports, are showing a dip. But the question here is Karnataka contact tracing, tracking and testing enough? This is a big question. As per reports, the health bulletins that Karnataka government has issued, on the 1st of May, Karnataka was testing about 1,77,000 people. It dipped gradually by the 8th of May. Barely about 1,30,000 people were being tested. And yesterday's health bulletin shows that Karnataka is barely testing 99,000 people only. When asked, the BBMP says that this is because people are hesitating to come forward and test. Not enough justification, we believe. But let's take a listen at this report.
Karnataka has been consistent with its rise in daily COVID cases. But the last few days have seen a sudden dip. Does that mean the lockdown has had a significant impact, or is the Karnataka government tracing and testing less? According to the state's recent health bulletin, Karnataka, which was testing 1.75 lakh a day, now tests just over 1 lakh a day. The state's positivity rate is still high at 27.84%. Mounting heat on the Yediyurappa government, former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has accused the government of falsely projecting a dip in COVID cases.
Both Government of India and State Government of Karnataka, they have failed miserably in controlling the corona disease. It has surpassed Maharashtra. Karnataka is number one. More than 41,000. I have written more than 10 letters after this second wave is started. But none of my letters is replied by the government of Karnataka.
The BBMP defends the fall in number of tests, saying people in Bengaluru are hesitating to get tested. And since the lockdown, companies aren't getting their employees tested anymore. Karnataka has over 6 lakh active cases with 38,603 new infections and 476 fatalities reported in the last 24 hours. With Nabila Jamal in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, now I'm going to take you through Bengaluru particularly and how it's faring. We do know that recently, over the last few days, Bengaluru's numbers have dipped. That's good to know. And we see that the triage centers, which the BBMP has set up across ward levels, that's now really picked up pace and helped people who are panicking, trying to find a bed, find some relief at these triage centers. In fact, this particular triage center that we see here was in Adugudi. In fact, I visited that center myself in Adugudi. It was being maintained and run very well. About 60 odd COVID patients were present at that triage center. 3 nurses, 3 doctors who are there round the clock, catering to the needs of all those COVID patients. Now, this center and all the triage centers, there are about 35 triage centers across Bengaluru now. It's more or less an arrangement that's made for people who are tested positive but do not need a hospital, yet need observation. So people can come here who are positive, can get their assessment done. In fact, the doctors there will check their oxygen levels, all the parameters, and then decide whether they must be sent to a hospital for further treatment or if they can be managed at the triage centers. And this appears that it has lifted off the burden from hospitals in Bengaluru. I spoke with the BBMP commissioner myself, who also gave us an insight as to why Karnataka is testing low. Let's take a listen. As much as we see that there's a dip in the COVID-19 cases over the last few days, there are allegations that the Karnataka government has reduced testing from 1.75 lakh that was a few days ago. We're barely testing about 1 lakh people. What's the reason for it?
Well, I am not going to say anything regarding the situation. I think people feel for themselves. The number of cases has come down, the inquiries in the hospitals have come down, the demand for COVID care centers has come down, and that is a palpable change. It can be felt by the people. So I leave it to people to judge whether the situation has become better over the last 1 or 2 weeks or not. But let me assure you that we, along with all our officers and all the public representatives, have worked hard to ensure that each and every case is tracked properly, isolated properly, and also taken up for treatment. The facility in which I am there right now has been one of the 32 facilities which have been started in the city for physical triaging and also for COVID care centers in which people lodged here till the time they can be comfortable. And there are almost 62 residents right now here. Likewise, all our COVID care centers have people. The physical triaging is going on. This is beside the tele support that is being given, tele counseling, etc., which is being given. We have been working with the communities. We have been working with the resident welfare associations, the apartments associations, to ensure that more and more COVID appropriate behavior is adopted by the residents, and to see that if everybody protects oneself and their own families, then in that case the city as a whole gains. And I'm very happy to say that we have got great support and cooperation from all.
Right. Undoubtedly, it's a collective responsibility. A quick word on the reports as per your daily bulletins. You used to be testing 1.75 lakh, now only 1 lakh tests. Any reason for that? Any crunch in the test kits as per your analysis?
The figures that you are citing are the state figures. They are not the city figures. They are the state figures. And second thing is that testing has gone down because of themselves, people not opting for testing, and also because of lockdown. A lot of people do not intend to take up any travel. They are not taking up any employment. Their employers were asking for certifications. That has come down. So there is absolutely all facilities available to the people for testing, whether private labs or whether it is the public testing. So we are encouraging people to test more, and we want more and more testing to happen. That will prove.
All right. Now, we do know that Karnataka has more or less become the capital or the epicenter for COVID-19 in India. We're seeing one of the highest numbers in the country. At this point, while there's an impending third wave, reports suggest that children are more susceptible to the virus this time. Experts predict the third wave would impact children more. Karnataka is already heading towards that trend now. Between March 9th and September 25th last year, there were about 19,000 cases among children aged up to 10 years and over 41,000 cases among children in the age bracket of 11 to 20 years. But now in the second wave, Bengaluru alone has seen over 19,000 cases of COVID-19 from March 1st all the way to 16th of May.
Why the children are getting infected with coronavirus? The main reason being irresponsible behavior of the adults who are getting exposed, and these adults coming to the home and the children are getting exposed. Main thing is the responsible behavior of the adults, and to teach the kids of proper hygiene and good hygiene. Is immunity is responsible for rise in the infection? Yes, partly yes, because of corona, children are not going out and are not getting exposed to the common viruses.
Five hypotheses which has been put forward why the pediatric age group they are less susceptible to COVID is their innate immunity is much more higher, and also the second one is there is a recurrent infection, viral infection. Because of that, the immunity is much more better. Third one is there is high concentration of melatonin. Fourth one is probably they might have had mild coronavirus infections previously. Fifth one is because they are given immunization with live vaccination. Because of that, the immunity power is much more higher.
All right. Right now in Karnataka, while doctors and the World Health Organization have clearly suggested not to take steroids without proper supervision, first the BBMP in Karnataka and now the Karnataka Youth Congress has in fact included steroid tablets in their home isolation kits which they've distributed for people, many families across Bengaluru. Now this doctors say can be detrimental. Let's take a listen at this detailed report by Nolan Pinto.
This was an isolation kit that was distributed by the Indian Youth Congress in Bengaluru. It had medications such as cough syrup, cetirizine, vitamin C, doxy, and a steroid called Dexahim. It was a tweet by AAP convener in Karnataka, Prithvi Reddy, that got this matter out of the box. He pointed out that steroids could lead to serious harm if taken without medical supervision.
We found out on Saturday that the Youth Congress in Karnataka were distributing these home isolation kits. The intention may have been good, but what they have done appears to be extremely dangerous, because apart from paracetamol and cough syrup and the regular medicines, what they've included in the kit is Dexahim, which is essentially a steroid. You cannot take a steroid without a prescription and doctor supervision.
BJP Youth Wing of Bengaluru has also filed a complaint with the drug controller alleging distribution of non-prescribed drugs in the COVID kit.
Today, I filed a complaint to the drug controller of Karnataka regarding there was an issue going on in the media and social media. Some of the Congress workers, youth workers, are issuing drugs which not supposed to be issued to the general public without prescriptions.
The Youth Congress in Karnataka claimed that they were only following what the BBMP did in the beginning and have now discontinued giving Dexahim in the new home isolation kits being dispatched.
We had actually taken the BBMP prescription and we had copied that. We had taken the version that was been supplied at all the PHCs and we gave those things out. They actually informed to take that Dexo tablet 3 times a day.
Okay.
So we've actually changed that. We had our initial set of 200 boxes.
Okay.
We had said it, take it if breathless. That is what our doctors have suggested, and we had put that. And then after a few sort of suggestions from a few other people saying that it shouldn't be added, we removed it from the boxes.
The state government, however, pushed for following of uniform treatment protocol put in place by the central government.
Uniform protocol, treatment protocol has to be followed by one and all. The state also follows the guidelines of the government of India, whatever the prescription, prescription they have given, we are also following, along with our own technical experts committee is there. So one has to follow, because otherwise it will be detrimental.
The political row erupted days after the centre pointed out the misuse of steroids, which is a major cause behind mucormycosis or black fungus infection.
स्टीरॉइड्स जो पेशेंट्स ले रहे हैं, जिनको डायबिटीज़ है और साथ में कोविड है, अगर ये तीनों चीज़ें इकट्ठी मिल जाएं तो वो चांसेस ऑफ फंगल इन्फेक्शन एकदम बढ़ जाते हैं. तो स्टीरॉइड्स नहीं देने चाहिए, क्योंकि उससे आगे जाके फंगल इन्फेक्शन के चांसेस हो सकते हैं.
Now this is a steroid that I'm holding in my hand. If you take it without a doctor's prescription, it can lead to life-threatening complications. So whether you have got this in a home isolation kit from the BBMP, from the Youth Congress, or even from any NGO, please do not take this. Your life could be and can be in danger. This is an appeal from all of us. Keep yourself safe. With video journalist Shimmurthy Gurumat, Nolan Pinto for India Today.
All right, now quickly shifting focus to Tamil Nadu in Chennai. There seems to be a lot of confusion and chaos where people were right on the streets after there was some confusion over the new COVID-19 guidelines, fresh guidelines. In fact, the city has been divided into 318 sectors. People cannot move from one sector to another without an e-registration pass. As the order was issued late last night, traffic jam witnessed at in many locations there. Not only commercial or private vehicles, but even ambulances were piled up at many junctions. Sectors are cordoned off with barricading. The police is now stopping every vehicle, making the movement slow there. Those who need to attend essential events such as funerals, medical treatment will be allowed to travel after registering themselves on government websites. But chaos indeed that we saw.
major chaos at Chennai streets as new regulations have been brought in by Greater Chennai Police. For now, what they have done is that they have converted the entire city into 318 sectors, by which if you need to go from one sector to the other, you require an e-registration. Now, this e-registration is only given for medical emergencies and to attend a funeral. So many people who actually are working in continuous sectors, they are completely confused as to what to do or not. There you see a large number of vehicles standing over there, even ambulances caught at this location, and many are asking question, what is it necessary to bring such a rule at this point? Tamil Nadu is at the second week of lockdown. The lockdown is supposed to end on 24th of May, and right now you could observe the chaos over here. Officials claim that it is required to actually control the crowd, the movement, and that is why they have gone ahead and brought in this regulation. But the problem here is that already frontline workers and the continuous processing unit workers don't require any e-pass. They have to show the ID card and go ahead and work. But that is turning into a confusion currently, as because even if you show the ID cards currently, they are asking for an e-registration, at least on the app level. So there seems to be a miscommunication between the officials and the police department, and that's the reason so much chaos is observed in the city of Chennai currently. With video journalist Divyan, Pramod Madhav for India Today.
All right, I'm going to quickly cut across to Pramod joining us live. Pramod, exactly what is the confusion there, and people coming out of the streets violating the existing protocols in place? What's the government doing about it?
Well, people are definitely coming out of the streets, and like if they don't have a reason, they are being stopped. But this is a different scenario because this is one of the arterial roads in Chennai called as Anna Salai, and here vehicles are being stopped. The bigger confusion here is that until now, frontline workers had to show their ID cards or take some kind of pass and they would be allowed to go. But currently what they have done is that you need to register on an e-pass application, and only two reasons can be provided. One, medical emergency, and the other one to attend a funeral. Even wedding has been removed from the e-pass registration, and that's the reason there seems to be a lot of confusion. In fact, at this junction, earlier we saw ambulances, chartered medical vehicles, and even doctors were stopped at this point because they did not carry an e-registration. Now the police claim that they are doing whatever they have been told to do, but they have to be made it very clear that frontline workers are carrying ID cards and they could be given a pass to leave. But unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of confusion over it, and that's the reason there was huge chaos at this point. Even people going to the brim of protesting. But for now, they have been asked to show the e-pass and then they are allowed to go here.
Right, Pramod, thank you very much for joining us with those details. There you have it. In Chennai, we're seeing some chaos, but it seems like it's been corrected for now. At the moment, several southern states are currently trying to fix the situation. Karnataka is seeing a serious surge. I'm right here at the epicenter. I'm going to bring you the roundup of the southern news at 2 p.m. every day. For now, it's a wrap. Thank you for watching.